trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
5-Hour Energy CEO Manoj Bhargava claimed this week that the 13 deaths associated with his product were just collateral damage in his company's ongoing war against that 230 feeling. Quote, "We honor the sacrifice of all those who have fallen. I wish we could live in a world where you could get a spike of energy and no crash and not die. But that's not the world we live in." Passionate supporters have flooded social media, demonstrating the terrifying costs of midday drowsiness and fatigue, with consumers saying that when it comes to extra alertness in the mid-afternoon, they are willing to pay any price.
As the wife of a 5-hour energy drinker, we've had to sacrifice a lot in the name of long-lasting bursts of energy that carry you out of the workday and into the evening. We knew the risks going in.
Bhargava says his company has no plans to stop until the 230 feeling is completely wiped off the map, at which point they will turn their attention to that 330 feeling, 430 feeling, and people with a case of the Mondays.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
What day is it, man? Like, wow, Scoob. Is it Friday already?
Ruh-roh.
Ricky. Some people don't believe me when I tell them that Shaggy was the stereotypical stoner in the Scooby-Doo series.
Well, they're dumb. He obviously is.
I think so.
I also think that they named him... I was thinking the other day, actually, why did they name him Scooby-Doo? Like, what a weird last name. And then I realized it's because his name says Doobie.
Right. I was going to say, it's actually Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Yeah.
The Doobie is the important part. Just like there was a band for a while in the 70s and 80s called the Doobie Brothers. It's the Doobie that was important in their name. They couldn't just be called the Brothers. They wouldn't have been nearly as famous. So anyway, it is Free Talk Live. Thanks for tuning in. It is the Friday edition. We are a live call-in radio talk program that you can take control of. If you want to get on the air and talk about whatever's on your mind, you can dial 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass, and joining me...
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
Well, so I have a very bleak and depressing article that I brought in for show prep today. It's really horrible.
Yeah, you can say that again.
It is from the Rutherford Institute at rutherford.org. And the headline is, "Make Way for the Snitch State, the All-Seeing Fourth Branch of Government." This is written by John and Nisha Whitehead.
Is this the pre-crime stuff?
This is not. I did not bring that for today's show prep, but I do have an article on that we'll see how today goes. Perhaps it'll come up. So this starts off, it's a quote from Marshall McLuhan. I have no idea who that is. It says, "It is just when people are all engaged in snooping on themselves and one another that they become anesthetized to the whole world process. As information itself becomes the largest business in the world, databanks know more about individual people than the people do themselves. The more databanks record about each one of us, the less we exist." That's by Marshall McLuhan, author of From Cliché to Archetype.
Not true. I think, therefore I am.
I'm sorry, what's not true?
That we don't exist because we're being observed.
Oh, it says the less we exist.
Yeah, but...
The more
silly.
databanks record about each one of us, the less we exist.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one.
Yeah, it's silly.
But he is absolutely correct about the fact that data has certainly become the largest business in the world. People, say things like, well, the United States doesn't do any manufacturing anymore, and it doesn't do any, agriculture anymore, and it doesn't, well, what it does do is it collects data. It is certainly a technological country, if you will. I hate using that word, but if you were to say, what does the United States of America do? I would say collecting data. That's what the United States does. It creates data and collects it, and then uses it for good or for evil.
Thanks to the NSA in Utah.
Yeah, mostly exploitation.
Yep. So the article continues, we're being spied on by a domestic army of government snitches, spies, and techno warriors. This government of peeping Toms is watching everything we do, reading everything we write, listening to everything we say, and monitoring everything we spend. Beware of what you say, what you read, what you write, where you go, and with whom you communicate, because it is all being recorded, stored, and cataloged, and will be used against you eventually at a time and place of the government's choosing. This far-reaching surveillance has paved the way for an omnipresent militarized fourth branch of government, the surveillance state, that came into being without any electoral mandate or constitutional referendum.
Big Brother.
Indeed. Definitely Big Brother. I mean, all of the authors of, like George Orwell and what's the other guy I'm thinking of?
Aldous Huxley.
Aldous Huxley, thank you. Brave New World. These types of authors would be like, I told you, I tried to frickin' tell you. Oh my God, I wrote a book about it. Why wouldn't you listen?
Also Ray Bradbury and even Lois Lowry from The Giver.
Yes. Yeah. That I saw that movie too. That was pretty good.
I didn't watch it because Taylor Swift was in it.
Oh, I watched it because Jeff Bridges was in it. And I was like, hey, that guy.
I love the book, The Giver. So
Was
I
it
was
Jeff Bridges? No.
not happy that Taylor Swift was in
I'm thinking
it.
of the wrong guy. I'm thinking of another guy.
I don't know. I don't remember anybody else except her.
But yeah, I mean, all of these people who, semi-predicted what is indeed happening. I mean, if you think that Big Brother is not watching you, if you think that your life as an individual isn't controlled by a large, omnipresent, militarized fourth branch of government, you need only take a look. I ask you to look inside of your life and tell me, what area of your life does government not touch? There's not very many, if you can even name one.
I saw a Twitter feed the other day, or thread, where somebody was saying, I went and visited my mom, and I didn't speak out loud or ask her about the brand of toothbrush or toothpaste she uses, but I noticed it, and then I had an advertisement for it for the first time in my life on my phone. And
creepy.
He was like a information guy, so he was explaining how it could happen, and he said that the data that companies collect and they use to give you advertisements on your phone can even be used through your Wi-Fi's year round and IP addresses year round.
I mean, what was he saying, that they associated the two phones that came together and therefore it was reinforcing the advertising basically of something you just happened to come across and physically saw? Yeah.
We covered an article here on Free Talk Live that detailed exactly what you're talking about. For example, when somebody goes into, let's say, a Target, something like a department store, and you use their Wi-Fi, there are things that don't necessarily identify you by name or by phone number.
You don't even have to use their Wi-Fi.
Right. But they have things that track, did you stop at aisle 4 midway down where the big display is? Or did you look at the bottom shelf of this particular product aisle instead of the top shelf? And they'll know exactly what that thing is based on their inventory tracking system and what the stockers put on the shelves that day, because everything is scanned with barcodes and tracked in such a way.
Wow, I wonder if they target females with the shorter shelves.
I know that they target children. So, for example, have you ever seen the great big bag of generic cereal on a middle shelf or a top shelf in the grocery store? No. It's always on the bottom because that's where the kids can see it. Mommy, buy me the giant bag of these generic Cheerios or whatever, Fruit Loops or whatever they are.
Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah. So, yes, as a matter of fact, they do all of that kind of a thing. And now they're able to track who stops and even looks at a thing, much less picks one up off the shelf, puts it in their cart, and goes and buy it.
Turn your phone off before you go into a grocery store.
Yeah, or any store,
Any kind of big box retail store, yeah.
Yeah. Get yourself a Faraday bag. Really.
I have one already.
That's nice. That's the easiest thing that you can do if you don't want your data to be tracked via cell phone, but you still want to be able to use your cell phone whenever it's convenient for you. You can just keep it in a little Faraday bag, and that will solve the problem. It is ironic, of course, that a low-tech solution is the answer to a high-tech problem in this particular instance.
It's also kind of funny because it's kind of like a tinfoil hat, but I'm not saying it doesn't work. It does work. It's a tinfoil hat for your phone.
It's kind of funny. It's the difference between something that does work and something that doesn't, right?
Yeah.
It's a tinfoil phone condom is what it is.
It is.
To prevent you from getting effed by the state.
Yeah, don't worry so much about wearing an actual tinfoil hat. Just get one for your phone.
For real. The article continues, indeed, long before the National Security Agency became the agency we love to hate, the Justice Department, the FBI, and the Drug Enforcement Administration were carrying out their own secret mass surveillance on unsuspecting populaces. And we could talk about this and a whole lot more here on Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. More coming up.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover springs her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
On March 16th of this year, a joint government task force raided the New Hampshire Bitcoin Embassy, the Mighty Moose Mart, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Andy and Renee Spinella, Colleen Fordham, a grandmother, and perhaps most relevant, the studios of Free Talk Live. The Crypto Six were arrested, most were released, but Rich Paul, also known as Nobody, and Ian Freeman both remain in custody. We've been in contact with attorneys that say no crime even appears to have been committed, but that didn't stop the Joint Thug Task Force from ripping out wires from the back of our broadcast stacks, taking Free Talk Live off the air, violating our and your First Amendment rights. You can go to thecrypto6.com and donate to fight against these charges. But as importantly, contact media and tell them about this outrage. This case is likely to set precedent for the use of cryptocurrency well into the future. Help our fight for liberty and financial freedom at thecrypto6.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover springs her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com. You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number here in the studio. If you want to join us, dial 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We've been talking about this article from Rutherford.org, and it says, "Make way for the snitch state, the all-seeing fourth branch of government." And so far, it has been sort of recapping things that we already know here at Free Talk Live. We've covered a lot of these topics frequently here on this program, and they will get to some more specifically about the snitch state. But first, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have from Ohio, it's the Domster calling. Domster, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
Hey, happy Killdozer Day, man.
Yeah.
Hey, so I actually work in the retail industry, and I'm in a data analyst / marketing position.
Oh, interesting.
And based on what you were saying, I know that I think there are plans in place at major retailers to put digital displays on every shelf, basically. And the plan is, I guess, using RFID technology, they want to be able to identify loyal customers and I guess give certain customers a different price than other customers.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
Right. So if you belong to
creepy.
if you have a Target frequent buyer's card or something like that, they want to be able to give, a different price to somebody who's more taken on their brand than somebody who's just a casual shopper or decided not to sign up for something.
I mean, we kind of have something like that with like rewards already, though, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
it's just that they're moving it to a more digital and
they're
less,
trying to get you to buy more as
right.
opposed
Well,
to
and a
like,
less opt-in
specific stuff.
Right. So
Yeah.
If you're shopping with somebody who has the higher price, you could always just pick it up for them if you had the lower price.
What else can you tell us, Downster?
Well, also, I mean, there already is a program like that. It's called Ibotta, and I guess it's an app you download. You register with them, and they want to take a picture. They want you to take a picture of any of your shopping receipts and send it to them. And I guess using that information that you give them, it gives you back. So basically, from that, they're although it's kind of in an indirect way, they can treat some shoppers differently than other shoppers as far as price goes.
Yeah.
And I know that Amazon too. This probably doesn't surprise you. There are certain shoppers with Amazon that they're just sending all their shopping receipts to Amazon. Doesn't matter what retailer it is, or grocery store, I should say.
Yeah.
And people are happy to give that data away to Amazon.
I've used Ibotta. I've gotten like $40.
How do you spell that?
IBOTTA.
Ibotta. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Bonnie, you're in the target graphic for Ibotta. It tends to be, from what I've heard, it overly skews, I think, younger females.
Oh.
So
Yeah, I imagine that's true for specifically the retail markets generally skew. I did work in retail, we'll call it home goods for a period of time. And in all of the sales trainings, all of the salespeople were trained to speak to the female. If there was a couple that like came into a retail store to buy something like furniture, for example, they were all trained to always address the female and the man as an afterthought because, well, they believe the female holds the purse strings in relationships, at least in the United States anyway.
I'd be interested to know. I tend to be kind of cheap. I hate spending money on anything.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's been any psychological studies about whether men tend to, be more hesitant to spend money than women. I'd be interested to know that.
I think that's something that is well assumed by people. I've never seen any facts to back it up, but it wouldn't surprise me if it were true.
I mean, how's that not been established already? You can already see that in, I would think, trends and data that they've already got.
I think it's probably true.
Log.
Yeah, I think it's true. I just have never seen any evidence for it. So
yeah, I mean, that's for probably. I follow what you're saying. Yeah.
My personal spending habits come in waves. Like I'll be really frugal for a long, long time, and then today I spent a lot of money because I was just like, it's my birth week, so I'm gonna buy stuff to dye my hair and new makeup.
Happy almost birthday.
Thanks.
A tip for you guys: if you want to, kind of have more privacy, but also be frugal and be on a budget. I really like to, especially my grocery budget, I like to put it all in cash,
mm-hmm.
and then I just divvy it out every week. And A, you never overspend, and B, if you shop at a place like Walmart, they don't have a loyalty program, so they won't have any way to track the shopping habits to you. So.
Well, right. They won't be able to relate it specifically to you, but they're still tracking by, the nature of you pulled something off a shelf and, they rang it up at the cash register. They can know still that some guy came in on, Tuesday afternoon or whatever and bought, these 12 items and paid this amount of money. They know that you walked through, the certain aisles that these items were stocked upon, and they can still use that to market and make, specific deductions about what your buying habits might be when grouped along with a whole bunch of other people.
Do you guys think it's immoral to steal from Walmart?
I mean, it's immoral to steal.
Yeah, it's immoral to steal.
I was just wondering.
I don't need, whether it's Walmart or, whatever.
That's a whole argument online. That's why I'm asking.
You're having an argument online about whether it's immoral to steal from Walmart?
Not me.
Wow.
It's like a whole...
Is this
it's just a whole thing
or something?
It might be kind of like a socialist thing, but I've seen some arguments that kind of make sense.
Domster, what are your thoughts? Steal from Walmart?
I vote against that.
It seems like just a bad idea in general. Even
I don't want
even
to go to
if
jail
it's
for that.
Even though I'm not going to be crying over it.
Yeah.
If I see other people stealing from Walmart, but it's like, ooh, yeah. I mean. Logically, one of the reasons you shouldn't steal is because you don't want people stealing from you. And if it's
right.
if people get this idea that it's okay to steal from Walmart, then same thing happens to you.
One of the things people always bring up is they take it out of their employees' bonuses, but I think it's immoral that they give their employees bonuses based off how much they prevent stealing, because that is true. I worked at Walmart.
Well, isn't that part of the job? I mean,
well, yeah, you accepted the job, so it's your fault. But it's just a silly, dumb way to give people bonuses. Like, if you stop enough stealing, you'll get your bonus. Oh, you didn't get your bonus, and you never do.
Hey, Domster, thanks for the call. Keep us updated if you find out anything more about how they market to you in new and possibly, overt ways. Thanks again. 603-283-6160 is the number if you'd like to be on Free Talk Live. We've got more for you coming up.
Car Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
NASA announced the discovery of a mile-wide asteroid this week that could potentially trigger a global level of extinction, forcing upscale fashion retailer Nordstrom out of business. Researchers confirm that the celestial object is traveling at speeds exceeding 29,000 miles per hour, threatening to slam into the planet with more than 1 million megatons of force, enough to jeopardize operations at all 117 full-line Nordstrom locations.
Unless we can find some way to divert or intercept the asteroid, all 7 billion people on Earth, including all 62,500 Nordstrom employees, may die. Even if the asteroid breaks into smaller pieces upon entering to the atmosphere, a death toll as low as several hundred million could still slow foot traffic in stores and reduce online orders from Nordstrom's subsidiary, Hot Look.
Humanity is surprised it still hasn't figured out an alternative to letting power-hungry assholes decide everything. And a magical office worker is able to turn everything he touches into more work for his colleagues.
This is the Onion News Network.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is. Free Talk Live. The live radio call-in program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever's on your mind. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
On March 16th of 2021, terrorists calling themselves government agencies conspired together and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, and the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham. 6 people were taken captive, if you will. Arrested is the term you're most familiar with. These folks are referred to as the Crypto Six. Ian Freeman spent 69 days in jail, despite the fact that he hasn't been convicted of anything, and what he's been accused of, allegedly, has no victim. And the person named Nobody, formerly known as Rich Paul, also remains captive. What can you do to help? You can visit thecrypto6.com. There's a bunch of information there. There's links to different places. There's a video up there of what happened, or at least the events that as they were unfolding that you can watch. And you can also donate to their legal defense fund, because the charges these people face are not a joke. It's going to take a serious legal team and many experts to protect the Crypto Six from further aggression from the state. This case is also very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom. Visit thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com. All right, so we were talking about this article before we went on a tangent about how stores track you via your cell phone while you're in them. We were talking about this article from Rutherford.org, Make Way for the Snitch State, All-Seeing Fourth Branch of Government. And we pick up where it says, indeed, long before the NSA became the agency we love to hate, the Justice Department, the FBI, and the Drug Enforcement Agency were carrying out their own secret mass surveillance on an unsuspecting populace. And that information is readily available. Use your favorite search engine and go look it up. But even agencies not traditionally associated with the intelligence community are now part of the government's growing network of snitches and spies. And not mentioned in the article is a topic we talked about here on Free Talk Live, where the post office now employs digital spies. The post office now deploys digital spies. I say that twice because I want to make sure that you heard what I said. I'm not joking. I'm not misspeaking. The post office uses digital spies to surveil you.
It's more than that. You're missing half of it. So they've been doing the digital spying thing for decades, okay?
Yes.
But now, not only are they spying on your, like, you know, the to and from addresses, like where mail is coming from and going to and recording that, they're also tracking you online.
Tracking your
Yes.
social media, which is so random.
Right. Yes. The post office. That's right. The post office is tracking your social media. That's right. Whatever you do, whoever you're liking, whoever you're commenting on, whoever you're putting the smiley face on or the love emoji or whatever it is, whoever you're putting, responding to with a GIF about something or another, people in the post office, for some reason, are the ones tracking some of that, which I find very Orwellian. Just about every branch of the government, from the Postal Service to the Treasury Department and every agency in between, now has its own surveillance sector, authorized to spy on the American people. For instance, and we just covered the post office, but they've also been photographing the exterior of every piece of paper mail for the past 20 years, as Chris alluded to.
Yep.
And they are heavily spying on social media, headed up by the Postal Service's Law Enforcement Division. The Internet Covert Operations Program, also known as ICOP, sounds dumb, is reportedly using facial recognition technology combined with fake online identities to ferret out potential troublemakers with inflammatory posts.
Spell ICUP.
ICOP.
ICUP.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to spell that. I know that joke. Thanks for busting out the dad joke. I appreciate you. And then say the word funny after it.
That's silly.
I know, I'm silly.
I did it in my head. I don't know if we can say it on the air.
I think, well, yeah, okay, that's fine. Anyway, the agency claims the online surveillance, which falls outside of its conventional job scope of processing and delivering paper mail, is necessary to help postal workers avoid potentially volatile situations. I laugh at this because you guys remember before the term mass shooter became popular, right? Or active shooter, right? School shootings and all that kind of stuff.
Right?
Going postal was the original, right? Before there was because somebody shot up a former postal employee was angered about getting fired or something, and he came back to the post office and shot up the post office.
Wow.
And so everybody was like, "Hey, calm down, man. Don't go postal or anything."
Maybe we need to be protected from them.
I always ask for like postal mail, just like it's.
You want your mail to be deranged and crazy and armed?
it's I forget what I'm confusing it with, but I'm always confusing it with like the post or like I'm asking for, just regular post.
Yeah.
As opposed to expedited or whatever.
Yeah, it is. The irony is not lost on me that the agency for which was named somebody shooting up a place where they used to work now is surveilling folks that are considered Americans. Then there are the fusion and counterterrorism centers that gather all of the data from the smaller government spies, the police, public health officials, transportation, etc., and make it all accessible for those in power. And that doesn't even begin to touch on the complicity of the corporate sector, which buys and sells us from cradle to grave until we have no more data left to mine. It's not just what we say, where we go, and what we buy that's being tracked. We're being surveilled right down to our genes. Genes, not Jeans, for those of you wearing Levi's and Wranglers.
Can you guys explain to me why I should care that the government knows what I buy? Because, to be honest, I used Ibotta until the government stole my phone, and I just haven't gone back into my Ibotta account. And I've always just kind of wondered why it matters if the government. It's kind of like my mom used to say, like, that eating that will give you cancer, and I'd be like, eating anything nowadays will give you cancer. It's kind of like, yeah, the government spies on everything, so why should I care if they know what I buy?
Probably collisions. So if you get enough data, you end up with situations where there's only, maybe not even just be two people, but there may be multiple people who fit the same profile. And so when you bring that before a jury, when they come after you, they'll arrest you for whatever, and they'll put you on the stand, and you just happen to buy the same chemistry book that somebody else bought, who basically bought it in order to make bombs or whatever, and so you now fit that profile, and that's a collision. So you're the only other person who bought that book in that time frame, and therefore, because of the data that was collected, you're now a suspect.
Wow.
Right.
You might be arrested, you might serve jail time, you might not be found guilty, in the end, but you lost a couple years of your life.
Right. So people grow and they change over the course of a period of time, right? Or at least they can. Some people don't. Many people do. If you did something 30 years ago.
I didn't.
I'm just, right, because you're not quite yet 30. If you did something 20 years ago.
That's still.
If you did something 5 years ago.
There we go.
And the government brings it up 20 years from now to make you seem as if you have an established pattern of doing a thing, well, that's bad. And that's just how they operate. They're going to wait until it's relevant for them, and then they'll pull out this little piece of information
the U.S.
and
government
use it to
is
help
bad.
incriminate you. 603-283-6160. How has your privacy been violated?
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too,
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
Besides, we just can't have people floating about unregulated,
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Yeah, it is the Friday night edition of Free Talk Live. We're the live radio call-in program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever you would like to. The telephone number here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We've been talking about this article from Rutherford.org, which says, make way for the snitch state, the all-seeing fourth branch of government. And we've been talking really most recently about how multiple government agencies that never used to have anything to do with, say, surveillance and law enforcement and stalking, if you will, are now, they all have their own department for tracking individuals through different methods, such as the post office now has an army of people tracking your social media, which, you know, just doesn't sound right.
Wait, but I didn't consent to this government doing this.
Yeah, neither did I.
Can I opt out?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you?
May I?
Let me know when you find out.
You're asking the
I'd like
wrong
to do the same
people.
thing.
So we are being surveilled right down to our genes thanks to a potent combination of hardware, software, and data collection that scans our biometrics, our faces, irises, voices, genetics, even our gait, G-A-I-T.
What's that?
For those of you who don't know, that's how you walk.
Oh.
Everybody has a unique walk, just like you have a unique fingerprint.
Oh, God.
And so when...
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, when you are caught on video and that's recorded enough times, they can use that to identify you in a crowd of people.
I wore like 6-inch heels to Pride 2020, and like I wouldn't want any recording of that.
Well, they take these pieces of data, these recordings that they make of all of our biometrics.
Oh, wait. I meant 2019. Sorry.
That's okay. They run them through computer programs that can break the data down into unique identifiers and then offer them up to the government and its corporate allies for their respective uses. All of those internet-connected gadgets that we just have to have, Forbes refers to them as data pipelines to our intimate body processes.
Oh, my God.
The smartwatches that can monitor our blood pressure and the smartphones that let us pay for purchases with our fingerprints and iris scans are setting us up for a brave new world where there is nowhere to run and nowhere to hide.
I did get a new iPhone since the government stole my last one, but I did not put facial recognition on it this time.
Good.
Very well. For instance, imagine what the government could do, and is likely already doing, with voice print technology, which has been likened to a fingerprint. Described as the next front line in the battle against overweening public surveillance, the collection of voice prints is a booming industry for governments and businesses alike. As The Guardian reports, voice biometrics could be used to pinpoint the location of individuals.
I've definitely used like the voice features or whatever on my phone, so dang it, it's like you can't win. This government doesn't want you to have any fun.
Well, and so, for example, there's a social media company that most people use the app for, which I do not. I only use the browser version. And so it's at my discretion when I launch that browser, and I don't. And so, based on my other habits and stuff, I rarely get advertised to as much as other people do, who just sort of leave all the default settings and, they're not very technical about it. And they get advertised to a lot, like you were describing with, some toothpaste that you've never seen
what is
before.
This advertising thing that you're talking about?
You don't know what advertising?
It was a joke.
Because
I have all that stuff turned off, so
Yeah.
I don't experience.
I see.
But what happens is I'll go over and visit a friend who's got like Amazon Echo, and we'll have a conversation. And moments after I leave his place, I'm being advertised something that had to do with the conversation I
Turn
had
your
with him.
phone off when you interact with those kind of people.
Oh, I know. But I'm just saying that's
it's a type.
That's how speedy it is these days. That something like an Amazon connected device can just overhear you say a thing. And then even though your device that you have isn't necessarily tracking you, their device is, because they know that they're your friend on this or that or the other social media, and they connect the dots and go, oh, it's that guy, and we should advertise this to him. Now, advertising in and of itself is not bad, right? I just find the whole thing creepy.
I think it's not bad. It's just that the companies that are doing it are corporations that are really government entities.
It's the way they do it, right? Like, it's not them advertising on a particular site. Like my company advertises on linuxmint.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a tech site for the customers that we target, right? We don't go out and ask Google to track everybody to figure out what their operating system they're using and then advertise to just those people. That's creepy.
Yeah. We are now the unwitting victims of an interconnected, tightly woven, technologically evolving web of real-time, warrantless, wall-to-wall mass surveillance that makes the spy program spawned by the USA Patriot Act look like child's play. And indeed, the old, growing up in the 80s, of course, the big enemy was the Russians. Oh, we were still in the Cold War. We're going to nuke each other and everybody could die any day. They had us all convinced that we were going to die any day from nuclear war. And the Russians, of course, were the big enemy. Kind of the way the media plays them out to be again today, which is really weird. that it's sort of come full circle in that way. But the Soviet Union of the 80s was very heavy on surveillance of their own people. And that particular organization would give their left arm, if not more, to have all of the surveillance that currently happens in the United States today. It is so pervasive and so prevalent that even the most surveillance-oriented regimes that have existed on planet Earth did not have this type of technology and capability that we have today.
Yeah, when I was delivering Uber Eats food to people in San Antonio, I would say like 50% of the people had those Ring doorbells or some other Ring doorbell brand. Like 50%. I was telling someone this yesterday, I think Ian.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Amazon's getting ready to flip a switch on those, making them all their own mesh network if you don't opt out. We briefly touched on that a couple of days ago here on Free Talk Live. You can listen to our back episodes over at freetalklive.com, by the way.
/archives.
Yeah. Fusion centers, see something, say something, red flag laws, behavioral threat assessments, terror watch lists, facial recognition, snitch tip lines, biometric scanners, pre-crime, DNA databases, data mining, precognitive technology, contact tracing apps. The list I just read are all part and parcel of the widening surveillance dragnet that the government has used and abused in order to extend its reach and power. The COVID-19 pandemic has succeeded in acclimating us even further to being monitored, tracked, and reported for so-called deviant or undesirable behavior. Consequently, we now live in a society in which a person can be accused of any number of crimes without knowing what exactly he has done. He might be apprehended in the middle of the night by a roving band of SWAT police. He might find himself on a no-fly list, unable to travel for reasons undisclosed. He might have his phones or internet tapped based on a secret order handed down by a secret court with no recourse to discover why he was even targeted.
I'm sure there's still some people who realize that this is, or don't realize that this has actually been going on since like 2001. Well,
it's grown.
Yeah, it's grown
it
since
continues
2001.
to grow.
But
Yeah.
it was started shortly after 9/11, like this no-fly list. But people don't even know that it exists. Your average person. It's until it affects you.
Well, and anybody who's 21 may not even know that there was a time before these things existed.
It's true.
The young certainly, unless you've come through it and you lived in a time where there wasn't a thing and now there is a thing, you remember it because you remember the time of the change. Yep. But if you've been born after the change happened, you're just like, oh, that's how it's always been.
Do you remember when you could go to an airport and not walk through a metal detector?
Yeah, I remember being able to go to the airport, have a cigarette, and stand in front of the window as you watch the plane take off from the little tube that you walk through. There's a name for that I can't think of right now.
The gate.
Yeah, the thing that you walk from.
We all know what you're talking about.
The gate into the little tube
that they. I didn't know there was a name for it.
Yeah,
honestly.
they're mobile and they move out of the way so the plane can take off. The walkway, if you will. Yeah, you could smoke a cigarette while staring out the window. 603-283-6160. Hour number 2 of Free Talk Live is next.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
He says it's a positive sign. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Biden reacting to the May jobs report, which was much improved from April.
Employers added 559,000 jobs last month as the unemployment rate dropped to 5.8%, the lowest level since pandemic shutdowns began last year. Speaking to reporters in Delaware, President Biden said America is on the move again.
As we continue this recovery, we're going to hit some bumps along the way. Of course, that'll happen. We can't reboot the world's largest economy like flipping on a nice light switch.
The employment report fell short of economists' expectations of more than 650,000 jobs. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Republican National Committee Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel in a statement said President Biden and what she called Democrats' failed policies have given us another month where the economy fell short of expectations. Another meeting planned for Monday after the president and Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito spoke by phone as they try to reach a deal on infrastructure. The White House says Capito offered to increase the proposal by $50 billion, but the president said it didn't meet his objectives. Emails obtained by Fox News show there was bureaucratic infighting over an investigation into COVID-19 origins between an independent research team and other State Department officials.
Two former officials say there was resistance throughout the U.S. government into an investigation into whether the virus leaked from a Wuhan lab. Though another top official, former acting Undersecretary Christopher Ford, wrote in emails that the investigating team avoided efforts to vet its findings. Officials on the independent team dispute that.
Fox's Rich Edson at the State Department. Fisher-Price is recalling its 4-in-1 Rock and Glide baby soother after the deaths of 4 infants who were placed on their backs unrestrained and later were found on their stomachs. America is listening to Fox News.
Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview. All on Indeed. Get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. Only pay for the candidates that meet must-have qualifications. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Get started right now with the free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply.
A new government report finds no evidence that unexplained events in the sky are alien aircraft, but questions remain.
So far, there's no evidence these UFOs are alien spaceships. They remain a mystery. Some U.S. officials believe UFOs are potentially from Russia or China, who have outpaced the United States in the development of hypersonic weapons that travel 5 times the speed of sound. Other officials believe this could be equipment malfunction from aging U.S. jets many decades old. Jen Psaki recently spoke about the UFO report coming out soon from the Director of National Intelligence.
We have a team that's actively working on a report. Certainly the safety of our personnel, security of our operations, our airspace are of paramount concern.
An unclassified version of the UFO report is due to Congress later this month.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the Pentagon. A judge has rejected the Biden administration's attempt to delay a lawsuit from several states and environmental groups that would end sales for coal mining leases on federal lands. The coal program was temporarily shut down under President Obama because of concerns about climate change. It was revived by the Trump administration. Environmentalists want to end the program permanently. And American track athletes' hopes of competing in this year's Olympics may be put on hold.
United States Olympic track and field champion Brianna McNeil has been banned for 5 years by the Athletics Integrity Unit for violating anti-doping rules. McNeil is accused of tampering within the results management process. McNeil, who won a gold medal in the 100-meter hurdles at the 20.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Following morning reports indicating that Philadelphia High School for the Performing Arts student Samantha Bylam deals with really weird social pressures on a daily basis, Onion reporters met with the 16-year-old dance student who described feeling regularly alienated from her peers for extremely bizarre reasons.
If you're not up to date on the latest urban street art or Esperanza Spalding albums, the other students will eat you alive. It can get pretty brutal. Just the other day, everyone cut class to go watch the $1 Million Quartet musical at the Forest Theater, but nobody told me. Now I'm the only one that hasn't seen Lance Guest's rendition of Folsom Prison Blues. It's humiliating.
According to Bylam, the school year shows no sign of letting up as she continues dealing with the everyday stresses of auditioning for the school's production of My Fair Lady, keeping up with the latest punk Afrofusion dance groups, and not having enough fishnet sleeves to wear throughout the week.
Honestly, I don't know how the other students deal with it.
Keep checking theonion.com for more as this story develops.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Talk radio that you can take control of. If you'd like to join us in the conversation tonight, the telephone number here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Bonnie.
And Chris.
Now, this article we've been talking about from Rutherford.org. Its headline is, Make Way for the Snitch State, the all-seeing fourth branch of government. It goes on for quite a bit, and so I'm not going to pretend that we should read the whole thing here on air, but we will, of course, put it out on our social media. So if you want to read the rest of it, you can. If you thought that it was revealing and amazing and, depressing or at least overwhelming in what the surveillance sector is and how large it's grown, well, wait till you read the second half of this article because it goes on to detail all of the things. And I just want to read a couple of bits. The surveillance sector is merely one small part of a shadowy, permanent government comprised of unelected bureaucrats who march in lockstep with profit-driven corporations that actually runs Washington, D.C., and works to keep us under close watch and thus under control. For example, Google openly works with the NSA. Amazon has built a massive $600 million intelligence database for the CIA. And the telecommunications industry is making a fat profit by spying on us for the government.
Fascism, yay!
It is definitely fascism. The snitch culture has further empowered the surveillance state.
I think the worst group when you read all of the surveillance groups was what is it called? The hotline snitchers or the people who can enter tips.
Oh, yeah, the tip hotlines, right? Yeah.
It's kind of the worst.
Well, and like I remember seeing those for like news stories going way back.
Yeah, those are ancient.
You know, if you see news or a headline, call the tip line for Channel 4 or whatever TV station du jour was in your area when you were growing up. I remember that. But the ones that are now the government-sponsored ones are the ones that disturb me the most. It's not just a news agency, looking for, tips from the community. It's the government looking for citizens to snitch on each other.
And one of the worst recruiters of this is just, what is it called? Sorry. For true crime. Like true crime YouTubers are always putting and I'm going to put the FBI tip line down below if you know anything about this. I mean, of course, if you knew something directly about a murder, then it would, the only option you really have is to tell the government at this point in time. So maybe if you really knew who killed somebody, it'd be good. But I'm sure there's so many busybodies out there. Well, that guy in the grocery store was so weird to me today. I'm going to put in a tip.
Yeah, most of the stuff they get is garbage when it comes to tips and tip lines. But if you troll through the information, they can pull,
I bet they
stuff
think
out. Yeah,
a lot of that's pretty valuable to them.
Well, and it's no secret too that in one of the most hated regimes, that would be the Nazi regime, that their network of spies, particularly spying on their own citizens, didn't contain that many people, but it was effective because they would have the people snitch on, other citizens themselves, essentially. If you thought Bob coming home at a weird hour that he doesn't normally come home at, your neighbor across the street, if you thought that was strange and you let somebody know, why, they might get paid a visit by some secretive government goon. It's just same thing is happening here today, but on a digital scale. So you don't actually get to meet the government goon doing the snooping on you if somebody thinks you're keeping odd hours or acting weirdly because, you're a free human being and we're all different from each other. We're going to act different from each other. If one of your neighbors doesn't like that, they're going to call a snitch line. They're going to let somebody know, and they're going to spy on you even harder than they do everybody else.
It's slaves telling the masters on other slaves.
It is.
Right?
So, at any rate, I've posted that out. So, if you're on any of our media, you're free to go and read the rest of the article. It is worth the read, but it left me, when I was finished reading it, with a very a large gut feeling that the world is not improving in any way, shape, or form, at least when it comes to the organization that calls themselves government. Speaking of which, you guys know governments use drones these days, right?
Yeah, they used one on the house here on the building.
They sure did.
That was the government that put that drone through my window and froze me in such a fear that I had to step into glass-filled shoes.
Yep, sure was. Well, this according to Yahoo News, now a rogue killer drone hunted down a human target without being instructed to do so.
Oh my God.
Says a UN report. Yeah.
Did the drone that came into my house have guns on it?
I don't know.
They actually were trying to prevent me from filming at the time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I got it on film, but I couldn't get a good shot. So I don't know.
I have a good shot in my memory.
At one point in space and time, it would have been illegal for the government to put guns on a drone, particularly for police use. I assume that's not true any longer, but I don't know that for a fact.
I mean, it's not like they follow their own laws anyway, so they may be doing it even if it is illegal, and who's going to stop them?
Well, they are getting a bunch of equipment from the military, so I would think that as time goes by, we'll see them more armed and with different weapons and larger, payloads and able to do more stuff.
Yep. And tanks have been widely dispersed throughout the United States to police departments, and we saw one here.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that what was on my front lawn?
Yes. They are called Bearcats. There were two of them. And they were on the front lawn, both of them. At least one of them, if not both of them, had a battering ram attached to the front, which they used to cave in the front doors of the building here on both sides.
I just learned that it was only the 75 side.
Only one side?
Only one side.
That's where I saw the Bearcat with the battering ram in, I believe, some of Chris's footage, or somebody got a snapshot of it.
They intended to use it.
I just assumed they did the same thing on the other side.
Oh, well,
we didn't really get any good footage on the other side, because I was on this side, and I was pretty much the only one here at those hours that that they were really doing stuff. I did end up going over here later on, but it was after everything was pretty much over anyway.
I think if we weren't going to willfully open the front door, then they were planning on using it on this side because it was right up to the. It was right in my yard. It looked like it. I mean, why else would it be there? It seemed like it was.
You know what it comes down to is these are toys for them. They didn't need it on either side, but they decided to use it on. And you know what's funny is they didn't even use it on the side that it made sense to use it on, because the guns were not on that side of the property, right?
Well,
if their excuse is that there were guns in the house, they used it on the wrong side.
Nothing they've done in this case makes any real sense.
Honestly, now that I think about it, if the excuse was guns, how come nobody's house got raided at all? Why didn't they just knock on nobody's side?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It doesn't make any sense.
Why didn't they just
these are
knock
toys
in the
for
first
them.
place?
Well, yeah, but according to their excuse, their lame excuse, it was legally owned guns.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the crazy thing is it's not like this was the first time they raided. They've raided before. So they didn't need the drone before. They didn't need the Bearcat before. They didn't need, a dozen, people in military uniforms to come and, they're police uniforms, but military-like uniforms and clothing, and they had bulletproof vests on and total body armor and everything. Yeah, it was crazy.
think they were hoping to make this into a Waco because of the religious affiliations of this building.
It did seem that way, I have to say.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. It's bitcoin.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. The number 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer any excuse to ignore this very important and world-changing information. If you're already a knowledgeable crypto user, you can check out news.bitcoin.com and get the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all of the latest cryptocurrency news, all in a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit bitcoin.com. All right, so in the previous segment, I teased this headline from Yahoo News, also known as Yahoo News. A rogue killer drone hunted down a human target without being instructed to, a UN report says. So my immediate thoughts, without even reading any of this article, is this how Skynet starts? Right? I'm a big fan of
What's Skynet?
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Yes.
You ever see The Terminator? Or The
No.
Terminator 2?
No.
Or The Terminator 3?
No.
Or The Terminator 4?
Is she too young for that?
I mean, yeah. She may be too young for that.
I do think I remember my parents watching it, but I've never watched it.
So The Terminator was set in, we'll say, the mid-'80s. And it was about a guy who came back in time to save a lady who was going to have a kid that was going to save the world. And then the evil machines, which had taken over, also sent a robot back known as the Terminator, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So he was bad.
Yeah, he was the bad guy.
Definitely.
And so, the movie played out, in that kind of way. So,
well, actually, he wasn't bad in the second one.
Well, but in the first one he was.
Yeah.
And so Skynet is we'll call it the precipice, the point in which, it turned into a war between humans and machines. Machines gained sentience and started being able to make their own decisions and, act autonomously without human interaction in a way that benefited them. And their analysis of human beings were that human beings were not necessary and should be exterminated.
We all need to go back to 2006 internet and just play Neopets.
Oh, wow.
Neopets. All right. So at any rate, there's a word for that when AI becomes sentient. Oh, the singularity. That's what it is. That's the term I'm trying to use. So technology reaches this singularity point, and then, it's based on people's fears of what might happen, right, with all this technology that we're doing.
It's kind of interesting that they say it's AI as opposed to, at the end of the day, it's a human that pressed that button to send that drone up, and there was a human that programmed it to determine what to kill. Now maybe they didn't specify a particular person, but they did specify a particular class, people with weapons or
let's find
a
out.
uniform or something.
A deadly drone hunted down a human target without being instructed to do so, a UN report says. The incident took place during clashes in Libya last year, the Daily Star reported. Experts are sounding the alarm about the lack of regulation around using, quote, killer robots, unquote.
Oh, God, we're already a year out from the singularity.
What do you mean?
Because this happened a year ago.
Oh, well, I don't.
Oh, right.
I don't know. We don't know that this was the singularity, but, it would certainly be a thought that I had when I first read this headline. A lethal weaponized drone hunted down a human target without being told to, likely for the first time, according to the UN report seen by the New Scientist. I believe that's a magazine. It's capitalized. Can't believe
Has it said if it killed him?
Hunted down a human target. I assume that it did.
I mean, isn't that what they're implying? That's a good question. Technically, it doesn't say it.
It does not.
They could have pressed abort right before it killed him or something.
Or it just didn't succeed at killing him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. In the March 2020 incident, a Cargo 2 quadcopter autonomously attacked a person during a conflict between Libyan government forces and a breakaway military faction led by the Libyan National Army's Khalifa Haftar, the Daily Star reported. The Turkish-built Cargo 2, a deadly attack drone designed for asymmetric warfare and anti-terrorist operations, targeted one of Haftar's soldiers while he tried to retreat, according to the paper. The drone, which can be directed to detonate on impact, was flying in a highly effective autonomous mode that required no human controller, the New York Post reported. The lethal autonomous weapon systems were programmed to attack targets without requiring data connectivity between the operator and the munition. In effect, a true fire, forget, and find capability, the report from the UN Security Council's panel of experts on Libya said.
I mean, it sounds like this is something they've had to a degree already. There's certain decisions that missiles can make. For example, if they detect another missile like going after them and to shoot it out of the sky without necessarily having connectivity. So I don't know. This is kind of and even like they can send missiles, for example, into other countries without connectivity too, where they use I hate to use the word AI, but AI-like technology, and they've had this for a long time, where it basically maps the ground and it, based on the ground terrain, finds its target, even though it doesn't have GPS, access, basically satellite access.
This is likely the first time drones have attacked humans without instructions to do so. Zach Kallenborn, a national security consultant who specializes in unmanned systems and drones, confirmed in the report. Kallenborn has concerns about the future of autonomous drones. How brittle is the object recognition system, he said in the report. How often does it misidentify targets? Jack Watling, a researcher on land warfare at the Royal United Services Institute, told the New Scientist that the incident demonstrates the urgent and important need to discuss the potential regulation of autonomous weapons. Human Rights Watch has called for an end to so-called killer robots and is campaigning for a preemptive ban on the development, production, and use of fully autonomous weapons, according to a report by the nonprofit.
I know somebody who tested weapons in Arizona. That was his job on a proving ground in Yuma. And he got to test some kind of a vehicle that they were, just a regular vehicle that wasn't like new. But the new thing they were testing was they were controlling it with Xbox controllers.
Sure.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, why reinvent the wheel? You already have a perfectly good controller that most of the youth is familiar with, and so when you recruit them into militaries and things like that, here's something you're already familiar with.
It's, it was probably a modified Xbox controller for, prototyping purposes, as opposed to the final product.
But still,
yeah.
Here's a device you're intimately familiar with.
Yep.
Up, down, left, right. How to circle around. All that kind of stuff. 2 triggers on either side.
Call of Duty becomes real.
603-283-6160. What do you think of killer drones? More Free Talk Live. It's coming up.
If you're looking for work, there's a piece of paper more important than your resume. It's the cover letter attached if you're snail mailing, or the email to which you attach your resume. Make it 4 short paragraphs. Paragraph 1, say that you're applying for work. The person you're sending to gets a ton of mail about all sorts of things. If you have a password, that's your first sentence. Tom Nelson tells me you and I should meet. Paragraph 2, what you do and how that relates to the opening. Be as specific as possible. Paragraph 3, why you want this particular job. I'm originally from Boston, so I know the market well. I have family and friends in the area, so this would be a homecoming for me. Paragraph 4, unless the job posting stipulates no calls, and I will call you to follow up. Thank you in advance for your time. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Free Talk Live.
This was the quote from the DEA's paperwork. Only products that were primarily intended or designed for use in injecting, ingesting, inhaling, or otherwise introducing marijuana and other controlled substances into the human body.
Injects marijuana?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how out of touch these people are.
They're trying to make it look like marijuana users are strung
Injecting
out
things.
heroin junkies.
Right.
And it's just not true.
No.
Look, if you were to ever even try to put plant material in a syringe and inject that into your veins,
It's going to go poorly for you.
it's going to work once. You're going to get high one last time if you even make it to that point.
Yeah. That's not a good idea.
Never in the history of marijuana consumption has anyone ever injected it into their veins.
Yeah. Kids, don't try that at home.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. Bunch of people sitting around talking into microphones on the radio and on the internet and on a couple of satellite stations, talking from the perspective of peace, prosperity, freedom, things of that nature.
I am a peace nun.
You are a peace nun. I'm a reverend. Are you a reverend?
I haven't claimed any title.
Okay, very nice.
Titles are not my thing.
Indeed. Obviously, it's my thing because I've got, 17, whatever, however long that name of mine is.
I chose a title that I can define myself, and I'm in the process of writing up my definition.
But the title that I have, and that's very good. It's good to have definitions of your titles. The titles that I have are done with a bit of tongue-in-cheek, right? It's because I don't really like titles all that much. And so instead of not having one, I've gone the other direction, and I've made one of the most obnoxious titles a human being might possibly be able to have. But also, it's got some humor in it, too. So there's that.
This is true.
Yes. This is Free Talk Live. If you're just tuning in, you're wondering what these people are babbling on about. We are a live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves. You can talk about whatever's on your mind. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
And Bonnie.
And Chris.
We were talking about the rogue killer drone, and I couldn't find anything that specifically says the person that it targeted died. I can't imagine they'd call it a rogue killer drone unless it had, but...
They also called it deadly.
Yes.
Yeah, that would suggest it killed somebody.
But I wanted to move on. You guys are familiar with some of the, we'll call them incentive campaigns for any of the 3 virus vaccines, right?
Yep, the Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Offering donuts.
Oh, wait, Krispy Kreme, sorry.
Krispy Kreme donuts.
There's a bunch of them. It's not just like 1 or 2 companies. It's
beer, right? Some places offering weed.
It's a trend.
It's, yeah.
Even lottery tickets.
Lottery, win millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever it is.
AKA a chance to win.
Yeah,
Yes.
Governments too.
Yes, places were giving out scratch-off lottery tickets.
And the politician's son still gets the lottery. I'm just kidding. I'm just assuming that happens. They'd probably pre-choose who gets it.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of things in this world that could help a lot of people, and I don't see them being given away for free. I also don't think that if something needs this much of a government-sponsored marketing campaign behind it, that it's able to sell itself. That is to say, if these things were really, truly effective, that people would be lining up for them.
Well, if the benefit was not...
They'd be kicking doors down for it, you know?
Yeah, this is more of a situation where the benefits don't outweigh the dangers, right?
Right.
And that's why they have to market it to you. That's why they have to sell it to you. And, they really have to push hard.
Yeah, and they're pushing really hard, and that makes me think that it's totally not worth it. I say that because, I got the thing. I had the thing. I was out for 2 weeks.
Oh, COVID, not the shot.
Yeah.
Not the shot. I got the COVID, and I was out for 2 weeks. Mostly really 1 week. The second week was just because I'm a former smoker, and it went into my lungs, and I was doing a lot of coughing for that second week, and it just wouldn't have been good to be on a radio show broadcast to, maybe a couple hundred stations nationwide and coughing all the time. So I had to wait until that subsided.
Yeah, I know somebody who got the shot, actually, and they also had COVID. And the COVID shot was, I would say, on par, maybe a little bit less bad as actually having had COVID.
Right, so they got the symptoms of COVID because they got the jab.
Yeah, for a couple of days, and they were sick for maybe probably 3 or 4 days. They were sick because of the shot, really bad, and then they were sick for maybe a week.
I have some people on some of my social media that same kind of thing. They get the jab, and then they're like, oh, I've lost my sense of taste for a few days, and, I'm sick to my stomach, and, I've got chills and fever and that kind of a thing. So
yeah, it's definitely unsold me on like getting a shot anytime soon.
I'm going to stop calling them people who got the shots and start calling them science experiments.
The lab
it's
rats.
definitely a science experiment. I know somebody who got the science experiment, and that's exactly what it was. Now,
just kidding, they're still people, but sorry, continue.
Yeah.
Or are they?
Well, people experiment on themselves all the time. So like, I don't know. Every time there's a new vaccine or a new drug or whatever, they the initial people who take it are, they're being experimented on.
And I am also smoking a vape. So that's kind of science experiment.
You're vaping a vape. You're
there's
not
a risk.
smoking a vape.
There's a risk and a benefit to everything, right? Like even when you are an experiment, this time your benefits are not that much because nobody's paying you for it. But in other cases, you get a paycheck with it sometimes. So
this is my last vape. I decided that.
Anybody
today.
paying you to vape?
No, I'm paying to vape.
What's the benefit?
Nothing.
Is that why you're quitting?
Well, I'm quitting because I don't want to get wrinkles.
Okay. So the benefit, not getting wrinkles outweighs the benefit of vaping.
Yes.
For you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we were talking initially at the top of this segment about, people aggressively marketing the free vaccines with, tempting prizes. And, I call it get stabbed for cash and prizes. California is no stranger to any of this. The only thing that I found, in fact, I just noticed it now. This is from, it's covid19.ca.gov. Vax for the win is the name title here on this California government website. I just noticed that it says countdown to reopening June 15th. That's news to me that California would even bother to reopen based on, well, it being California. I would think they would
Isn't California a failed state? Wasn't everybody fleeing from California?
Yeah,
they're all in Texas.
Not everybody, but many folks are leaving California. Anyway, they have one of these incentive programs. It's called California's Vaccine Incentive Program. Get vaccinated, get rewarded. Are you already vaccinated or about to be? Great. You'll have a chance at winning $50,000 or a grand prize of $1.5 million. Not yet vaccinated to COVID-19? Listen up. Get vaccinated as soon as possible to be eligible for a $50 incentive card and other cash prizes. We want to thank you for helping us in beating the pandemic in California.
Wait, is it beat already?
Is it what?
Is the pandemic beat? Is California declaring that?
It says we want to thank you for helping us beat the pandemic in California.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Perhaps the beatings continue because there's still government.
Well, the beatings won't stop with government.
That's what I mean. The beatings will continue because there's government.
If you accept government and you continue to participate in the system, you are part of the problem.
Guantanamo Bay is still open.
It is.
The beatings
is
continue.
It really?
Yeah, me and Mark and Ian had a show like a couple months ago talking about it.
I thought they closed it.
Nope.
See, they want you to think that.
That's
but
right.
It's not the case.
So they have a couple of bold, things here. It says $15 million in prizes, $50,000 Fridays, and $50 cards. How you can win $15 million in prizes. It's our biggest thank you yet to Californians who have received their COVID-19 vaccine. 10 winners will be selected on June 15th to receive $1.5 million each. Prizes totaling $15 million! Exclamation mark. All Californians who have had at least one COVID-19 dose will automatically be entered. This just sounds like more tracking to me, right? And why are they giving this away to folks who have had at least one instead of both?
They're just trying to sell them.
I don't know. You'll be eligible to win $1.5 million if you live in California, are age 12 or older, and have received at least a first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Prize money will be paid after the winner has completed their vaccination series. Incarcerated persons and persons outside of California are not eligible. See terms and conditions. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. The number 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
On March 16th of 2021, terrorists calling themselves government agents conspired together and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, and the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham. 6 people were kidnapped. We call these people the Crypto Six. They were taken into custody, as the terrorists like to call it. And Ian Freeman spent 69 days in a cage. And the person named Nobody, formerly known as Rich Paul, remains behind bars. What can you do to help? Well, you can visit thecrypto6.com. There's multiple ways in which you can donate to their legal defense fund. There's links to a video about what happened on that day and links to some other information as well. But these charges are not a joke. It's going to take serious legal teams and many experts to protect the Crypto Six from further aggression from the state. This case is also very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom by visiting thecrypto6.com.
Thank you to everybody who has donated.
Indeed. So we've been talking about all sorts of fun things, but I wanted to talk about, like, do you guys sometimes feel like things are over politicized?
Like on Twitter.
All the time? You mean?
And like, does it seem like politics is seeping into our daily life and ruining everything?
Yeah.
That's the headline from this article from Reason. Politics is seeping into our daily life and ruining everything. Americans are choosing jobs, brands, and friends for partisan reasons, say researchers. Is there anything that politics can't ruin? The answer, it appears, is a resounding no, as partisan conflict creeps into all areas of American life. Our political affiliations, researchers say, obstruct friendships, influence our purchases, affect the positions we take on seemingly apolitical matters, and limit our job choices.
And ruin movies.
And it so ruins movies and TV shows. As a result, many people are poorer, lonelier, and less healthy than they would otherwise be. And I think anybody who calls himself like a libertarian or an anarchist or a voluntarist or, I own myself type of people, independent people, I think they feel this probably more than somebody who calls themselves like a Democrat or a Republican. And I say that just because they're the two largest, political dividers that are known in this country.
Yeah, I'm always welcoming to people who have different opinions than my own, because I know if you don't, you end up in this echo chamber, and it doesn't end well.
Yeah.
But Chris will be mad at you if you defend your job by saying that you're not committing violence when you in fact are.
Yeah, that will annoy me, that's for sure.
Do I dare ask? No, I don't. The article continues. Political polarization is having far-reaching impacts on American life, harming consumer welfare and creating challenges for people ranging from elected officials and policymakers to corporate executives and marketers, according to a new paper in the Journal of Public Policy and Marketing by researchers from Arizona State University, the University of Wyoming, and 4 other U.S. universities. The researchers find that people's chosen political identities become self-reinforcing through associations with groups with shared beliefs. Echo chamber.
Exactly.
Our associations can even create a group-specific shared reality, echo chamber, that makes it harder to relate to those with opposing views. As society has become increasingly polarized, politicians' objectives diverge and their animosity toward the opposition grows, thereby reducing the opportunity for compromise, the researchers warn. Partisan incivility is a major reason for failed dialogue. Uncivil exchanges result in disagreement and greater polarization regardless of the evidence presented.
I think it's also a great reason to, if you're a white person, listen to the complaints of minorities in society, because if you're just a white person who only knows other white people, and you can get into this echo chamber.
So wait a minute, if I'm a Native American or, black or something else, should I not listen to other minorities?
Everybody should listen to people of other colors. So yeah, but I'm just saying as a white person, if you're only friends with white people.
Oh, okay. I follow you.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying only white people need to concern themselves with minorities.
No, it's just like something I kind of see a lot. Like people think, oh, well, it's not a big deal. Like what they're saying isn't really a big deal. maybe you should just listen to their stories.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that goes for, people of, any ilk. I don't, whether it's the color of their skin, their religion, the culture that they are from, and maybe now they're in your or maybe you're in their culture now and you come from a different culture. To me, I don't understand why people are so, segregated. Like, it seems they self-segregate. Some people would say that, well, it's natural for that to happen. Maybe. But, I prefer to be around people of different varieties of experiences at a minimum. That's one of the things about the community here, the folks that are in, sort of the freedom movement, if you will. Everybody comes from somewhere else, almost to a person. There are some people that, are from New Hampshire that are in the liberty movement, the freedom movement, the larger, picture of this kind of stuff. But a good majority of the people I have met since I moved here 2 years ago are not from here. And so it's great because everybody has sort of an origin story that you can get to know. Where did they come from? What did they do? How did they, when did they decide they were going to come here and move to New Hampshire? What was the linchpin? What finally made them decide to move? All that kind of stuff. It's great because this stuff builds character and it shows that these people are about the principle of the situation.
Oh, yeah.
And they're willing to risk literally their entire lives by moving to a different state.
It's easy to talk. It's hard. It's hard to actually do. And the people here have done. And that's why, it's so much better to hear from people who have actually moved because they're serious about what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. It says a lot about the character of a person when they actually pick up and move for a principled reason versus, my job moved me here, or, when you got to move for like some other reason. My dad died and left me his house, so I guess I'll go live in that, right? Those are plenty of good reasons to move. But like when people pick up and move by their own volition, their own choice for something like to help spread freedom, right? To me, that says way more about a person's character.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like it's easy to move over money, but that's not the people moving here. It's like you're better off here, sure, than a lot of places, but that's a side effect, not the reason.
Yeah, indeed. So as society has become increasingly polarized, politicians' objectives diverge. We talked about that already. People's partisan identities influence the range of people with whom they are willing to have relationships, the brands they purchase, and the jobs they take. In an era of public health concerns, people often choose positions on matters such as vaccines or mask wearing, not based on a rational assessment of the issues, but on a plug-and-play adoption of their tribe's stances. This sort of politicized decision-making can stand in the way of rational choices and healthy connections. And I know that I'm more of a spectator on social media than I am a participant. I participate, don't get me wrong, but like I watch more than I post, right? It's from that old poem, "There once was an owl who lived in an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why can't we all be more like that wise old bird?"
Cute.
Right?
I do have to check myself. After a conversation with Chris driving to the Bitcoin embassy.
This Chris?
Yeah. So before this conversation with Chris, I was getting into this mindset of like, honestly, I just kind of, I don't want to say hate, but dislike everybody who's wearing a mask because they're contributing to the government that put my boyfriend in a cage. But
I remember you expressing those sentiments.
So after having this conversation with Chris, I've kind of changed my mind on that. I don't want to just assume
Wait, you're pro-mask
something.
now?
No, I just don't. I want to not assume things about people just because they're wearing a mask.
I have seen things recently, since we're talking about the masks, that I'd forgotten. Like, I was at a restaurant, and there was a table full of people, like 12, 13 people, all sitting around a table very close together in a large group, because that hasn't been able to happen.
Without a mask on?
All without masks.
Oh.
They would separate these people, put at two different tables to maintain social distancing. That kind of a thing. Hour number free of 3 Talk Live is coming up. That's right.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Another offer. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News, but still no deal between the White House and Republicans on infrastructure.
During a phone call with President Biden, West Virginia Republican Shelley Moore Capito conveyed a new infrastructure offer, increasing spending on a number of programs by about $50 billion. That detail was provided in a summary of the call by the White House, but Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the offer does not meet President Biden's objectives. It was the second meeting between the president and Capito this week. President Biden lowered his top-line price tag earlier in the week, but the two sides still remain apart on the size of a bill and how to pay for it. The president and Capito are expected to speak again Monday. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
President Biden expressing optimism after the latest jobs numbers showed employers added 559,000 jobs last month, an improvement over April, though falling short of economists' predictions.
We have now created over 2 million jobs in total since I took office. More jobs than ever been created in the first 4 months of any presidency in modern history. Triple the rate of my predecessor, 8 times the rate of President Reagan.
The president said no other major economy is growing as fast as the U.S. A Worcester, Massachusetts police officer has died during an attempted rescue of a teenager who was swimming in a pond. Chief Stephen Sargent says Emmanuel Familia, a 5-year veteran of the force, was one of 5 officers who tried to save the teen.
The Worcester Police Department has lost a brother, friend, and a partner. The city of Worcester has lost a hero.
The 14-year-old was recovered from the pond but was pronounced dead at a hospital. 2 other children were saved. The arrest warrant for a Colorado man charged with murdering his wife who disappeared last year will remain sealed, a judge ruling that it could harm the daughters of Barry Morphew. America is listening to Fox News.
CuriosityStream is the only streaming service with thousands of documentaries, award-winning and exclusive content that will actually teach you something. And there are new shows every week. This week, check out Rise, The Story of Augustines, and Doomsday, World War I. For just $1.67 per month, you get unlimited access to CuriosityStream's library of content available anytime, anywhere, on any device. Signing up is easy, and if you don't like it, then you can cancel anytime. Sign up now at curiositystream.com/Fox.
Police in Florida's Miami-Dade County have unveiled a new plan to fight an increase in violent crime.
From Hialeah to Homestead, Miami Beach to Doral, law enforcement agencies from local, state, and federal levels are banding together to launch Operation Summer Heat. With an increased police presence countywide to scouring social media, officers say this 12-week mission is to get in front of the sudden spike in crime plaguing the area. Even though similar operations in years past shared the same goal, the police director insists this is different.
I've never had to mobilize the entire county. Our other crime initiatives were always for a specific area that was experiencing a trend, a hotspot.
The county will send out 17 strike teams that will have the power to shut down illegally run businesses that may be a hotspot for crime.
Reporter Joe Roach with Fox Station WSVN in Miami. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the central bank is studying how climate change might affect banks, but he says the Fed doesn't see itself as getting involved in how to fight climate change. He said it'll be the private sector and elected officials who decide climate policy. He made the remarks at an online conference on how the financial sector can take immediate action against climate risks. So much for family game night.
A survey on board games by one poll shows 44% of people have sent Monopoly.
You're going directly to jail, fella. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200.
Banning it from game night since it's leading to fights over cheating and sore losers. And you might be...
Sorry. Go through.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Zoo visitors watch the mating rituals of the ice cream shop staff, and a serious coworker puts on headphones to focus on his sandwich. Happiness is perpetually fleeting, so try to savor the next few minutes before it disappears once again. This is The Onion Week in Review. FBI officials announced they just can't bring themselves to bust a man who recently downloaded every season of the 1990s television show Picket Fences from a BitTorrent website. While stressing that pirating copyrighted material is strictly illegal, federal authorities expressed their sympathy for the man and claimed that perhaps the story of Sheriff Jimmy Brock and the strange events in a small Wisconsin town is all he has left to cling to.
We have more than enough evidence to bust him for piracy, but if the poor guy really wants to watch all 4 seasons of a 20-year-old CBS drama that nobody remembers, then he's clearly going through a pretty big rough patch right now. And frankly, we don't need to make it any worse.
For statistical purposes, we have seized all private data from your personal computer, and we are disgusted with your recent internet search history. You sick f***. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thank you for tuning in tonight. What is the name of the show? Why, it's Free Talk Live. What do we do here? Well, when people call, we talk to them live on the air about whatever they want to talk about. The number to do that is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 is the number here in the studio if you want to get your voice on the air and talk about whatever's on your mind. You can talk about what we're talking about, too. We just happen to be talking about this article from Reason.com, and it, says a sentiment that I identify with, and that is that politics is seeping into our daily life and ruining everything. And we'll talk a bit more about that. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
And so, with political positions influencing decisions, people may sacrifice wages, lose out on jobs, make suboptimal purchases, and disregard opportunities to save, the researchers note. For example, research has found that employees accept lower wages to work for politically like-minded entities, and people may even select higher-priced products or the ones that offer less functional value. Now, here in, we'll call it the liberty community, the freedom community, we make those decisions frequently. Like, I know I do. I know, like, I would much rather buy from a business or person who's offering a product or service who is of the freedom mind, or maybe that accepts like Bitcoin or something like that, because that's more in line with my personal philosophies and principles.
I would say I even take it to an extent further to some degree, in that I sometimes will purchase products that are, I wouldn't say of a lesser quality so much, but offer a different feature set, maybe a lesser feature set in some respects, because of the benefits that come with that lesser feature set that people don't usually think about.
Right. So
Privacy.
Often privacy,
right. Well, and you're a tech guy too, so that, stands to reason.
And when you were reading that list, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a job because you think the company aligns more with your beliefs. You'll probably be more likely to be treated better by them.
Right. You'll probably be happier too, because you're not down each other's throats all the time.
They're not saying that there's anything wrong with it. What they're saying is they're seeing an increase in these behaviors.
Okay.
According to the research.
They can have a negative impact potentially. I don't, it's interesting. I don't necessarily think that's always the case. I think like when you come together in a community like ours, probably the reverse happens, but I can certainly see in other areas you might take one job over another, which could negatively impact your, financials.
I can say that I took a job on the West Coast, and it seemed like a good fit. And then I learned later on that, the folks sort of in charge were a little closer to being like-minded in political thought than I knew even going into it. Now, when I learned that, I was like, oh, well, that's cool, but it wasn't a factor in me deciding to take the job or not. But perhaps it was just sort of subconsciously. You know what I mean?
Would you have quit if you found out that they were like hardcore fascists? They were like, we want to take this company and
it's a good question.
Join with the government one day and control people.
There's a lot of factors in life, that I think, I think it's one of these things where it kind of depends, it's like if you're working for somebody who disagrees with you, but they respect you as a person, that might be fine. On the other hand, another person with the same more or less values that you disagree with doesn't respect you, I'm going to leave,
Yeah, fascists don't respect humanity.
Right. So it's kind of like one of those things. I think it kind of depends on the circumstances, more specifically. And it's like I'm not. And here's the thing. It's like sometimes it's about business, right? Like if somebody's would you turn down a socialist's money and not sell a product to them? I mean, why would you do that if they're willing to buy from you, right? Like, and you're a libertarian or a conservative or whatever. Why would you turn down that? It just, to me, that doesn't make sense.
I think it makes sense in a way because for one thing, I was going to buy some coffee and I found out that the owner is one of the top, what is the word that they are, code enforcers in Keene. And I said, oh, I'm just going to go to Market Basket and get my coffee instead. Because in that case, maybe it's not going to make a huge financial impact, but I will know that I'm not financially giving money to him.
So you're looking at it from the opposite side, but if you were the business owner, would you turn down a conservative or a Republican?
Like as a customer?
Yeah, as a customer.
If I was a business owner, I would not allow cops in.
I might be with you on that one. But certainly, generally speaking, you probably wouldn't want to discriminate, right?
I don't know. It depends. Like if I'm selling coffee to someone who's just a socialist, probably not. But if I'm selling something like that could be useful for them to put out there, to help them with their goals, maybe I wouldn't.
I could see that. Maybe some very unusual circumstances.
Yeah.
Polarization has the potential to prevent neighbors or colleagues of opposing parties from developing friendships. This ultimately deprives individuals of intellectual diversity, among other things, they add. The finding that everything is becoming politicized builds on a growing mountain of data. Even before political tensions hit their current fevered pitch, a 2018 survey found that nearly 2/3, that's 64%, of consumers around the world will buy or boycott a brand solely because of its position on a social or political issue. The number for the U.S. was 59%.
I wouldn't have anything I could buy if I did that.
Right. In 2020, a separate survey reported that 83% of millennials find it's important for the companies they buy from to align with their values. That means that the price and utility of products and services are actually secondary considerations for many people, taking a back seat to companies' public posturing. Many business executives have risen to the challenge, advocating positions on gun control, immigration, and race relations, whether because they sense an opening to promote their opinions or just a marketing opportunity. These leaders hope that their political activism will help shape public opinion and potentially lead to lasting change, while simultaneously cementing their reputations as moral leaders and change agents, Christine Mormon wrote for Forbes. She noted that as of 2018, most marketing experts considered this a bad move, with the potential for alienating both customers and employees. I know that when I was coming up in the workforce, about Bonnie's age or so, and I had gone through many jobs as well, and there were some rules in the workplace.
Now,
one of them...
What time period was this?
The 80s.
Because a lot of people
through the
can't
90s.
Can't see you.
Late 80s through the 90s.
Okay.
So there were some rules about the workplace, and one of them was you don't talk about politics in the workplace. And these are the reasons why, which this article has outlined. It's because you do stand the risk of alienating both your customers and your employees if you politicize your product or service.
I've heard that boycotts don't work. Do you think that's true?
I mean, if they're performed effectively, they absolutely work.
This is the
There's no way
example.
they can't work.
The example they always point to is like, I think it was Chick-fil-A said that they were like not supporting gays or something like that, and a bunch of people boycotted them, but all the people who were like America and all that stuff went and like tripled their visits to Chick-fil-A, so it had an opposite effect. But
yeah, it doesn't. I think the
spicy chicken of hate
is it kind of depends, right? Like where are your stores located? If they're located in the South, mostly, you're probably
like
gonna you're probably not. Your boycott's not going to work. If they're located in the North, maybe you have a better chance of having a successful boycott.
I don't eat at Chick-fil-A because they give money to conversion camps.
Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. What are your thoughts on Chick-fil-A's spicy chicken of hate?
Not a fan.
More Free Talk Live coming up.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover brings her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Come on. That's right. Come on. Come on.
What is this called? A riff? A solo?
No, it's not a solo.
What is it?
It's might be a breakdown. I'd have to hear the entire song to tell you more specifically, but likely a riff. Yes, I mean all like heavy music is composed of riffs, and then usually the lead guitar solos over the top of a riff.
Because earlier I was like finishing my coffee as fast as possible and the music was playing. I was like, this is the most hardcore coffee drinking I've ever done.
So what are you guys talking about? Music?
Yeah, the music that was playing.
Music.
Music.
That's like
music.
that thing that like
I hear music.
like noise, right?
Chris doesn't like music.
Technically, it's sound.
I am definitely not a music person.
Technically, music is just this sound made on purpose over time. That's all music is.
People have found out that pop music is the best form of the language of music.
Yeah, music,
scientifically.
Music is like sports ball to my ears.
Bonnie, I didn't think you were a fibber.
That was actually a fib, but in my opinion.
Well, I guess it was, you said, found out that it was the best form. So, like, I guess that can be construed as an opinion.
Yeah, but it's my opinion. It was a joke that it was scientific.
It's science. It's science. This is Free Talk Live, if you're wondering. The telephone number here is 603-283-6160. If you'd like to critique us on our thoughts on music and opinions on other things, as well as whatever the heck we're talking about. If you don't want to comment on any of that, talk about whatever you want. That's what we're here for. It's Free Talk Live.
I want to know what the listeners' favorite fast food chains are, because that's what we were talking about on the break. And here are mine. Taco Cabana and Bill Miller's.
I'm not even familiar with either of those.
Yeah, me neither.
They're from Texas.
Oh, okay.
But they're huge.
That explains it.
Huge chains in Texas.
I've been to Texas, but I haven't been to every restaurant in Texas. That's
There's
for
a
sure. Yeah.
Did you say restaurant or fast food?
I guess they can say restaurant. If I was just going to say restaurant, I'd say La Panaderia in San Antonio.
Okay.
My favorite place is probably Taco Biondo in Hillsboro. Yeah,
Taco Biondo is great.
Yeah.
Jack's Barbecue in Seattle, Washington. It's Texas style barbecue, which is odd, but Jack himself is from Texas. And I don't know what he does to where he gets his ribs from, but they are giant ribs compared to any other ribs that you've ever eaten.
Does he add love?
He does add love. In fact, he comes out every night, 7 nights a week.
Nice.
During the dinner hour, we're talking 5 until 7 or something like, or 4 until 7. I don't know exactly when, but he comes out and he goes from table to table introducing himself to say hello to his customers and ask how everything is.
Sounds very Texan.
And of course he has the Texas drawl. Hi, I'm Jack. I'm the owner here. Is everything all right? I do a horrible Texas accent, but he has it.
You would also love Harmon's Barbecue in Cibolo, Texas.
Probably would.
If you ever come up to the New Hampshire area, Kirby Q's in Elstead has the best honey butter. And what is the thing that goes with
cornbread?
Cornbread,
yeah. Yeah, it is really good.
It's to die for. Yeah, it's worth going just
Carolyn
for that.
And Ken do a bang up job there with their joint. I need to tell you guys that you can join, not you guys, but the listeners, that you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th. Huh?
Are we excluded? Are we not allowed at this event? You said except for you guys.
I mean, if you keep interrupting me, maybe. I'm just kidding. No, you're of course invited. I expect you to be there.
Oh, good.
Because
Because
I was like, not you guys. I was telling the listeners that there's this thing going on. It's called Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and it's similar, but Forkfest is decentralized, which means that no one's in charge and there's no ticket cost. All you need to do is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. I can't think of a better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving people in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website forkfest.party, where you can connect with other attendees. You can find the unofficial Telegram chat link, and there's an unofficial forum there as well. Again, links to those are all found at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there. Chris, are you vending?
I will definitely be there. And yes, I will be vending. I will be selling, I believe, smartphones and
maybe a couple other things.
Yeah, there's one or two other things.
Okay.
I will have Crypto 6 t-shirts.
Crypto 6 t-shirts.
Bitcoin's not a crime. Crypto 6 t-shirts. I don't know if I'll be doing it personally, but I'll be there and I'll be around and we'll have stuff. So yeah.
Have you been to a Pork or Fork Fest?
I've never been, and I'm not going to go this year, and I'm kind of sad because I've always wanted to meet Tom Woods. He's my personal hero.
He's your gateway drug into freedom?
He's libertarian sensei.
Alrighty. Well, we're sad that you're not going to be there. Don't worry, I'll party for you.
I'm going to have a really good week because I'll have Ian alone in my house.
Oh.
And he's not allowed to leave.
You might be disappointed.
No.
You might be just appointed.
There may end up being other people.
In my house?
I don't know.
Also, when did you buy this place?
Well, you know what I mean. The place I live in.
Right quick, since we're being a little goofy and all, staying on your sofa. This is one of our chatters. I'm just reading some random things from our chatters online who are probably watching us and obsessing over the things that we really don't care about. But staying on your sofa said, she said duty. I think that's when you said Call of Duty earlier.
Again?
Yeah, no, that was earlier.
Oh. He's a real fan of duty.
Was that chocolate chip ice cream you were eating, Bonnie?
It was coffee.
It was coffee. People generalize cultures too much. One of the cams is stuck. Good thing I looked at that promptly. I'm sure it's still stuck. I'll go fix it in a minute. Good point, Bonnie. Don't know which point. Camera on Chris is frozen. Maybe it's because we were talking about ice cream. And somebody says,
You missed the one where they said that I was pretty. Read those ones.
I already read those to you off camera.
Yeah, there were a lot of them.
I know, but you didn't read them on camera.
That's right.
I'm just kidding.
I didn't.
2 people said I was pretty.
It's too late to go back now.
Yeah, people need
very important things.
People need to get some ice.
I don't have a time machine. I can't go back in time. In time.
We were also talking about the surveillance state.
We were,
and we were talking also about how everything is becoming politicized, and this article from Reason. So the politicization of all things great and small is what another researcher referred to last summer as oil spill model of mass opinion polarization. What if polarization is less like a fence getting taller over time and more like an oil spill that spreads from its source gradually to taint more and more previously apolitical attitudes, opinions, and preferences? And yes, chatters, I said taint. Pennsylvania State University Daniel Della Posta asked in a study published in June 2020 in the American Sociological Review. Even many initially apolitical lifestyle characteristics, from musical taste to belief in astrology, can become politicized.
Oh, God.
More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover springs her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live radio call-in talk program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever is on your mind. If you don't like the subject we're talking about, great, call in, talk about something else, change the subject. It's all up to you here on Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
The phone number that you need if you want to join us is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. We have been talking a bit about the political polarization of, well, just about everything and its effect on, well, just about everything, and how people will sometimes make decisions they used to not make, even things about like taking a job where another job might pay more or be more suited to their skill set or their chosen career, but they'll take a different job because perhaps that job has made some advertisements that allow them to believe that they're more politically minded to their particular side of politics, among other things. And we could talk more about that. But first, let's go to Bill. Bill, I'm sorry, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Buffalo, New York, sir.
From Buffalo, New York. What's on your mind tonight, Bill? You're on Free Talk Live.
Well, what's on my mind is that all the labels of whether it's conservative or whether it's left wing, right wing, and all the above, they're not properly defined because the underlying labels or definitions are always continually changing.
Oh, I know. It drove me nuts. When I went on this sort of journey, I was unemployed at the time, but I had the internet and I had a lot of time. Yeah. And I finally got tired of hearing politicians on TV, and I went to try and discover, am I a conservative? Am I a Democrat? Am I a progressive? Am I a liberal? Am I a Democrat or a Republican? What are these things? What are their? And I couldn't find clear definitions. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, but here's where the good news comes into play. The good news has everything to do with that. What you guys were talking about, very succinctly, and getting right to the truth of where you have the advantage to get to the truth. The main thing that everybody needs to understand is that, all right. The mainstream media is going to give you fake news, and then you gotta understand and work to the understanding that you got to recognize it. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly or help me out if I'm incorrect. I apologize.
No, you're doing fine. Just relax. Go ahead.
I think that he's right that the mainstream media will tell you, oh, if you believe in something like gay rights, if you believe in gay rights, you're a Democrat. The mainstream media tries to tell people what they are in that way.
Yeah, the media is so slanted. I mean, they'll leave out half the story in a lot of cases just to twist things into something that is like, oh, to make a certain group look bad or whatever. I've got a lot of experience with this, so I know. Media is just, it's awful, especially mainstream media in particular.
Go ahead, Bill.
Fantastic people, because here's, correct me if I'm wrong, and when I'm going to say it, I'm going to say it like this way. All human beings, we're all kind of broken human beings in many spiderweb different directions and definitions. What I mean to say that in that way is the fact that whatever words that we say to each other, you have no position or you should not have an emotional response of being offended by whatever words are displayed in any way, shape, or form, because we have no choice but to understand each other, and that okay, the words are going to be said, and we got to just like absorb those words and say, okay, we're adults now.
Yeah,
we're going to do the best that we can to understand human nature, the way that human nature works. And I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I just want to go along with what you guys were saying, and that's all I could say.
Well, I think.
Hey, thanks for the call, Bill. We appreciate it. I think that you're saying the right things. I know I've seen just my 49 years here on planet Earth. I've seen comedians get arrested for. Well, I haven't seen it personally, but comedians have been arrested for speaking, for making comedy. Now, these are words that people were offended by, but grow a spine, grow a backbone. If you don't like the words that a comedian's saying, if you don't like the words anybody's saying, leave, turn off the channel, don't go to that club or whatever it is.
I think it's a very powerful thing to be in control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. It's something I had to learn in anger management class that I got court-ordered to go to.
Oh boy. That's a story, I'm sure.
Wait, are you saying the government did something positive for you?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's something.
I mean, it's okay if they did, but it would just be a rare occurrence, in my opinion.
It was brought up in the class. I don't really think the class did a lot for. Okay, I'll admit it did this one thing for me. The guy, he was a government worker. I had to go to like government anger management classes. Explained anger in a really interesting way to me. He said, anger is like you're carrying around. Somebody handed you a bowling ball, and instead of putting it down, you decide to carry it around. It's only hurting you to carry it around, and only you have the power to put it down.
Accurate.
I cussed out a cop at the top of my lungs for over 10 minutes.
Serious? You got anger management classes for cussing a cop out? This
Yep.
is Texas, wasn't it?
No, it was Utah on Dugway Proving Ground.
Same difference.
Yeah, it was Utah on Dugway Proving Grounds. I was going into the gate. A cop yelled at me for apparently going the wrong way when it was very undefined. So I just lost my marbles and cussed him out at the top of my lungs for over 10 minutes and told him he should kill himself. And if I was his parents, I would kill myself.
Yeah, there are certain words you don't want to use. And even if you don't use those exact words and you go about it in a roundabout way, guilty. Doesn't really matter. They'll just twist it into like, yeah. And this is the crazy thing. Just because you say something doesn't necessarily mean, if you don't keep it within context, it doesn't mean what you're, the judge, whatever the judge says it is or thinks it means, it doesn't necessarily mean that is what the person meant at the time.
I do regret it, but not because the government reformed me. I regret it because.
But we shouldn't have to fear saying the wrong thing,
Right.
Like just because somebody says they're going to kill somebody doesn't mean they're
I
literally
didn't say
going to
I
kill
was going to
somebody.
kill him. Oh
no, I know you didn't say that, but that frequently is a thing. Like, I mean, people use this like I'm going to kill you, like to their kid or whatever. They don't mean they're actually going to kill their kid though. And these types of this language may not be as common as it once was, like in the 80s and 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still something that is not. It's not an actual threat, and people expressing themselves is not a bad thing.
Yeah. People take. I'm going to use the word butthurt, right?
Yeah.
People are oversensitive to other people's speech. I'm not saying words can't make you feel emotion. They certainly can, because without that, we wouldn't have, fiction writers. We wouldn't have poets. We wouldn't have lyricists, right? Like, words can definitely move emotions. But Bonnie's absolutely correct in that you can make the decision in how to react to that.
Yeah, the cop, he had tears in his eyes.
Good.
He was really mad.
You made him cry?
Yep, he was a grown man. And then he retaliated, him and the rest of the police retaliated against me for the rest of the time I lived there, 3 more months.
Is there footage of this?
Probably on his cam.
603-283-6160. I wonder if we could do like a FOIA request and see if we can get that to cement your legend. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
On March 16th of this year, a joint government task force raided the New Hampshire Bitcoin Embassy, the Mighty Moose Mart, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Andy and Renee Spinella, Colleen Fordham, a grandmother, and perhaps most relevant, the studios of Free Talk Live. The Crypto Six were arrested, most were released, but Rich Paul, also known as Nobody, and Ian Freeman both remain in custody. We've been in contact with attorneys that say no crime even appears to have been committed, but that didn't stop the Joint Thug Task Force from ripping out wires from the back of our broadcast stacks, taking Free Talk Live off the air, violating our and your First Amendment rights. You can go to thecrypto6.com and donate to fight against these charges. But as importantly, contact media and tell them about this outrage. This case is likely to set precedent for the use of cryptocurrency well into the future. Help our fight for liberty and financial freedom at thecrypto6.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. It is Free Talk Live. We're a live call-in radio program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever is on your mind. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
we've been talking about, well, all sorts of things today. But today I learned that Bonnie here cussed out a cop and made him cry.
I did.
And I don't know why, but I feel kind of proud of that. I'm proud of you, man.
I'm not proud of it. It's one of my least proud moments,
Our
but
little Bonnie's all grown up.
not because he was a cop, but because he was a human. Part pig.
More people need to cuss out the cops.
But guess what? I also had to pay $175. What did that do? Like who was I
Nothing. It
giving
just gave them revenue.
retribution
Did
to?
you plead guilty?
them
Like,
money.
or were you convicted? And like, how?
I-
Under
Hang
what
on,
basis
guys,
were you
because I have to do
convicted?
something before you carry this on too far. In the studio, we did that already, didn't we? In the studio tonight?
Yes, we did.
Okay, all right.
It's
So next I have to thank an amplifier, and his name is Derek. If you don't know what an amplifier is, in the case of Free Talk Live, it is not a box with a large powered speaker. It is somebody who helps us advertise, market, and promote. AMP, advertise, market, and promote. And you can find out all about the AMP program at amp.freetalklive.com. You do get some perks for becoming an amplifier. We only ask $5 a month. You can give more. There's different levels. You get different perks for the different levels. But the real reason to contribute and become an amplifier is to get this radio station or this radio show onto more stations across the U.S. and, well, elsewhere, too. We're on the internet. We're on a couple of satellite stations. So we're on somewhere around 200 stations. We could be on 250. We could be on 300. We could be on more. It's all up to you. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Do you guys want to finish? Because I have a call that I'd like to get on.
Well, he asked if I pled guilty. I was a very, very young libertarian. I didn't know any of my rights, and they just kind of said I was guilty because there was a recording. I don't remember pleading guilty or not guilty.
Yeah, you probably but you were in a courtroom.
Yeah, it was federal court because it was on a military base.
Interesting. So
I've
you
only
probably
ever been to federal court.
probably pled not guilty, I would think, and then they just convicted you.
I don't even remember having a lawyer for that time.
You probably didn't.
Let's go to, we have Josie calling from, I believe, Virginia. Josie, you are on Free Talk Live.
Good evening. I have something different to tell you about, a
Sure, go
story that happened way before you all were born in the late 1960s. And my only brother and my only sibling was on board a ship called the USS Liberty. The president was Lyndon Baines Johnson, horrible man. He murdered multiple times on his way into office and got away with it. And then when he got away with that, after, including for John F. Kennedy, he was involved with that too. He decided that he didn't like Nasser in Egypt, and he colluded with the Israelis, who also didn't like Nasser for whatever political reasons or other. And so they, in the collusion, they put together a plan that the Liberty must be sunk. The USS Liberty was an unarmed ship, U.S. naval ship, and so they said, okay, we'll place the ship off of the Sinai, and you Israelis attack it and sink and make sure no one is left alive to tell the tale. And then we would say the Egyptians did it. See, the 6-Day War was going on, and so we were always in favor of whatever Israel wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So we were going to say the Egyptians did this, and then we had planes on our way to bomb Cairo, forgetting the huge historical artifacts, pyramids and the like. And by the way, those bombs were atomic bombs. And fortunately, the ship did not sink because a nice Jewish man who was in the hold of the ship, who'd been in World War II, knew exactly what to do when, after shooting off rockets and napalm and the like, they set off torpedoes, one of which hit the ship. It looked as much like a big hole, 40 feet tall, like the coal that you see in the pictures in the newspapers when the coal was hit. And so they did that, and then they had planes with helicopters and lots of arms to finish off anybody who was by chance left alive. Well, the angels were with all of us, because we would have been in a big war with the Soviets had all this taken place.
Right. This sounds like, a classic attempt at what's called a false flag operation.
Oh, absolutely. Johnson was famous for the one in Vietnam.
Right.
Or was it not Vietnam, near one of the other countries? But anyhow, so the ship did not sink thanks to George Golden, and he should have gotten the Medal of Honor, not the captain, frankly, and the doctor who did heroic stuff with the wounded. Oh, my God, he was wounded himself and still managed somehow to save a lot of people.
Did your brother survive?
My brother was one of those who was climbing high up, the highest, so he could determine whose airplanes these were, because they were unmarked. By the way, that's war crime number one.
Wow.
There were several war crimes taken place over this attack. And one of
Josie,
them is
Bonnie has a question for you.
Oh no, I heard her answer it. I just wanted to know
that
if you're...
because I'm not hearing you very clearly right now.
It's okay.
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to know if your brother survived, but you started to explain
Absolutely
he did.
No. He was cut in half and blown down 4 decks. They told us not to look in the coffin. It's just one of those things that 34 were killed, and almost all of the rest of the ship were wounded. Not everybody, but almost everybody.
Wow.
I mean, it was 300 and some men on the ship.
This was a major incident.
It was a major incident.
Yeah,
and guess what he did afterwards? Everyone was to stay quiet, don't say a word, stuff it.
Yeah.
All that trauma that they endured on that ship, they were to stuff it inside of themselves, which of course brings on more PTSD and the rest. It's still bad. America needs to know what Lyndon Baines Johnson and the Israelis did to us.
Yeah, so this is something you can actually find on like YouTube and other platforms. There's whole mini documentaries of this incident.
Yes, there is a new documentary. They say, I have not seen it. It's True, T-R-U, True News wrote it, talked about it, and it's called Sacrificing Liberty, and it's probably a really inexpensive price for $40. 4 episodes, 4 different episodes, but all about what they saw and what the story directly from the crew, and it was an amazing event. My brother was a Naval Academy graduate of the class of '63, and anyway, he was just one. He got the Silver Star for his exposure, but the others received. There were more medals awarded on that ship than any in the history of the Navy for a ship of its size.
Wow.
I mean, it was an amazing event.
What do you think?
I do think that the world needs to know what exactly our president did. And the president we've got up there now is not much better, frankly. But anyway, the fake president, that's what I call the one we've got there now. He's bringing our country down as hard and fast as he can. He's involved with the Chinese.
We have another
so he's compromised.
question for you, Josie.
Sure.
It actually wasn't a question. I was going to say the world absolutely does need to know about the sacrifice of your brother and everybody else that was on the ship. And also, it's situations like, I mean, not situations, but stories like this that make me think that people who tell you that you have to listen to the government experts can shove it, because the government lies every day.
Yeah, this is why I prefer not to use the word "my president." He's not my president. I didn't
No,
get
he's
to pick
not
him.
mine either.
Yeah, it's.
And I agree with you. A lot of the libertarian ideas, I have a lot of them myself. A lot of these people are not telling the truth. There's so much lying going on now that it's just like a tsunami wave of lies coming out of Washington. It's horrible.
Yep.
I couldn't agree more. And thanks for the call tonight, Josie. We appreciate it. Just the fact that, so long ago, LBJ, right before I was born, that this governments behave in this way, in this manner. They lie, and they attempt to stage things to get us into wars we have no business being in. And by us, I mean the United States. I don't mean us.
Yeah.
It is really, really sad. We're out of time. We're out of time. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This has been Free Talk Live. Visit us at freetalklive.com. Thanks, and peace.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites.